Yo, so today I'm going to be making a rage melody for Playboi Carti and Trippie Red from scratch.
Pineapple!
Alright, so before we start, this video is sponsored by Rocket Powered Sounds. They sent me over their ultimate serum bundle, which has 3 banks in it. One is dubstep, one is EDM, and one is hip hop. And there's also some bonus banks and wave tables for like bass growlers and stuff like that. It's over 250 sounds, and right now it's 62% off, so it comes out to about 20 bucks. So I'm going to leave the link in the description, and if you're interested, definitely go check it out. Alright, so for the first sound, we're going to be using this Saw Smoker synth from the EDM section of the bundle. And then next step, we're just going to go lay out some basic chords. I think I'm going to go in the minor scale, even though Mr. Rage, I'm pretty sure is a major scale, but feeling minor, so that's what we're going to go with. Alright, so this is going to be like the base of the chords, and then I'm going to go build either 9th or 7th chords and then mess with the voicing a bunch to just get a little bit of a more unique sound. Alright, so this is going to be like the final bass progression, and we're going to change it up a little bit in the second half, and then just go through and kind of add some accent notes that the lead or a top line can go off of. And I'm going to go ahead and delete the second layer of bass notes, just because I think that's what's making the CPU be a little bit weird. So now we can go ahead and copy that over with all the accent notes. And then just listening to it loop right there, I want this to be a little bit more smooth. And this C sharp to the octave jump, I guess, is kind of rough. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it and see how that sounds. Alright, so now we can go find another sound from that bundle. I think I want to do 2 or 3 sounds that copy that same chord pattern and then render them all together just to save CPU, because I think it's going to get a little bit crackly. Alright, so I'm going to add this pluck, I think. I might change it out later, but just to accent the start of each chord. So I can go ahead, copy this over, and then I think I want to take out the accent notes. Alright, so that adds a nice little something to the stack, and then I also want to get something that has a little bit of like a higher release, so the thing might cut off here, but the like a pad or something will trail on a little bit longer, just to make it a bit more kind of ambient, I guess. Oh, and by the way, that last pluck was from the EDM section again. Alright, so I just came up with a little pattern, but it's a pad. It's from the dubstep section of that bundle, and I want to adjust it a little bit because if you listen, it's like a swelling pad, and I just have it playing these notes, but it like swells here and it continues, and I want it to cut off around here and maybe swell here. So I'm going to figure out how to do that with the envelope. Alright, so I like all those sounds together, so now I'm going to route them to 1, 2, and 3 on the mixer. Like I said in the mixing video that came out today, because I had to re-edit that a bunch of times, I use 1 through 4 for things that I'm going to render out, and then 5 to whatever for like the final mix. So I'm just going to roughly mix these together and then throw some kind of effect on the pad to make it a little bit less harsh, probably like a love filter. Alright, so I just did this little quick mix, and on the pluck, I just put an imager on it, make it feel a little bit more full and wide, because it was like mono. And then on that pad, I put the love filter, like I said before, and then finisher micro on the infinity preset. So now I'm going to go over here, pattern 1, quick render as audio clip. So now I have that rendered out, and then I want to render it out again, but I want to have the pad turned off. So now I go back to pattern 1 after I turned off the pad, render it out again, just because like maybe the pad section is more for like an intro or like a break, and then this will have like a heavy lead on it or something. And then something that I do for really only these kind of melodies is I'll go right click on the little waveform there, rename in color, so this will be synth stack with pad, and then the other one will be synth stack without pad. And then you can also color it, just to give it a little bit more difference. So I'm just going to pick aquamarine. That's a pretty color. So now we can see the difference, and it'll show up in the mixer too once we route it there. So like I said earlier, 5 and 6 is what I'm going to start on. And then we're pretty much done with like the base of the melody. And then we have to drag pattern 1 in here and copy it over so we can add more things, but still hear the synth stack. So next I want to add basses. And I said plural because there's going to be 2. I want to add like a basic sub bass and then try to find like a growler, because in some of the rage melody I've done in the past, the sub bass will play exactly how the chord plays, and then the growler will come in this space, and sometimes it sounds really cool. So we're going to try and do that. So I'm going to look for a basic sub bass first. Alright, so I ended up finding the growler type bass. It's not really a growler, but it's called Donk Anatomy. Bro, I cannot speak. This will fall right here. And then we're going to have to mess with the like hold and release to make sure it cuts off right there. So there's space for the normal sub bass. Maybe just that first little chop. That second one was a little bit too much. Alright, so I'm actually going to change that to Gross Disgustor, but it sounds a little bit cooler. And then again, I messed this up, so it has to go off there. And we're going to end up cutting the highs a little bit on that too, so it sounds a little bit deep, and you won't really notice it unless you really listen for it. So now we can go find the normal sub bass. Alright, so I'm going to start off with this one called Broken. It's from the hip hop section. And then just copy those bass notes. Definitely going to change this out for something a little less plucky. Yeah, it's almost kind of like an 808. I don't think I mentioned the sound, but I changed it to the bass called double from, again, the hip hop section. And it sounds pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and play the basses together. And you can hear how they sound because I think it is pretty cool. And I have to copy the growler one over another section. That should be good for now, and we can go ahead and play with that a lot later when we mix it. But it'll be okay, just like add other sounds. Alright, so next I think I want to go with a lead, do a really simple pattern, like kind of like Mr. Rage, where there's just a couple wiggles in there, but it sounds cool. And then go in and find some kind of accent sound or accent pluck to do some quick little rolls with. All right, so the sound we're going to start with for the lead is this synth called Fat Stacks, and I went ahead, it already had the portamento on, but I went ahead and turned it to mono, so when you start playing another note, the first note cuts off, so it gets all nice and slidey. And then I want to alter that sound just a little bit more, so I want to turn this up a little bit so it's a little bit of a slower glide. I'm pretty sure that does. And then just kind of tuck that in the background. So now we're going to turn that off and then find ourselves a very cute accent sound. So maybe go with this suede pluck again from the hip hop section, and then go ahead and copy all of the accent notes. And then, I don't know why I'm saying all, there's only like 3 in the whole melody. But do that and then do some quick little rolls that we can put like reverb on and stuff. And then Alt Y, and then we can flip it vertically, I'm pretty sure. No, we want to flip it horizontally. Yeah. So then all the notes will be the same, it's just in the reverse order. So that sounds rather cute. And then we can switch the sound out or alter it just a little bit because it's a little bit too harsh. So maybe turn the attack up just a touch. And then I think I just want one more sound, another accent that'll hit on the 1 and the 5, kind of like layering it with the open hat. Alright, so I found this FX called Siren. I think that might be pretty cool as like a background sound, kind of. So we can go ahead and keep that organized, but layer it with something and then throw like a old telephone EQ on when we mix. Alright, so this melody is pretty much done melodically, but maybe add something a little extra if I see fit during the arrangement, but for right now, it's sounds really cool actually, one of my best Rage melodies. So we can go ahead and mix this, and I'll show you what effects I put on it after. Probably just some low cuts, stuff like that. Alright, so I just finished the mix. It's overall really simple. On the first, well, the first two sounds are the same sound pretty much. So they're exact same preset, just a low cut and then an imager, just to make it feel wider. I always like my things to be like super stereo, I guess. And it's the exact same thing, same volume, they're the same sound, just one's with a less of an accent. And then on the lead, I didn't do anything, just altered the volume. And then I put this one beat gate on, maybe for later in the arrangement. So I just left it on there just in case. On the pluck accent, kind of sparkly thing, supermassive, the same thing I did in that like nav ambient video, carousel preset, warp on 30%, and then I turned it down halfway so it isn't too much, and then old telephone EQ, just to kind of contain it in that area, because with the supermassive you'll get like low frequencies, high frequencies, so I just wanted it to be right there. Then for the siren, pretty much the old telephone EQ, also kind of the same thing I do on church bells, just cleans it up a little bit and makes it fit a little bit better. On the growler or accent bass, Fruity Fast Distort stock preset, turned down 3/4 of the way, and then this EQ to kind of cut a little bit of the highs and then boost the lows. Then on the normal sub bass, pretty much the same thing, just more cut on the highs and then the same little boost on the lows. So now we can go ahead, split this by channel, arrange this real quick, add some effects after, because I know a couple things I want to add for like the intro. I want there to be a low pass filter on it on some of the sounds. I think that'll sound pretty cool. So we can go ahead and just drag everything in. Throw this on top and turn it off just for later. Slice it down the middle and then yeah, and then I want to render out the pluck and reverse it for parts of the intro. Quick renders audio clip, do the same thing where I chop it up, reverse the order so it stays in the same chord progression. And whenever I reverse things like this, I like to just listen to it back, just to make sure there's no clicks, and if there is, I'll put it on generic bleeding and move everything back just a touch so that it gets rid of the clicks. So I'm just going to listen to this real quick and make sure there are none. Yeah, so I already heard some, I think, right there. What you do, double click on it, generic, and then select everything. Go here and just pull this back a touch. This will make it so it fades into each other and you get rid of that click. Yeah, so just a little bit smoother. And then, like I said before, want to grab some sort of filter. I want to put it on this. So I'm going to go here, Fruity Love filter, automate the cut knob, and then I want it to be I want to route the reversed pluck and then put pancake on it. And then last thing, throw gross beat on this and do the one beat gate, of course. Sounds so good every single time, except in some dark melodies. Alright, yeah, so this is pretty much done. A very simple melody, but I think it turned out pretty good for not being good at rage melodies. So go Alt R, just record this, and see if we want to change the BPM or anything after. All right, so we have this rendered out now. And now I can turn off that effect on the master. I'll listen to this, see if I want to change the pitch or anything. Probably not, because I think it's pretty solid as is. Alright, yeah, so I just ended up pitching it up one, didn't change the BPM at all, normalized it like always. But that's going to be pretty much it for the video, and I only really use, 5-6 sounds from that bundle, and there's a ton more with like different qualities and stuff, so there's definitely a lot there. You could do a lot with it. So again, link in the top of the description, definitely go check that out. But otherwise, have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully you learned something. I'll play the final loop right now, maybe with drums.